Okay. Yeah. So our question was to create a program where I need a MDI child form. I need a MDI child form, and that should be done during a runtime. I need to write a VB.NET program to create a MDI child form during a runtime. For creating a child form, again MDI stands for multiple document interface, where within a document here is nothing but a form. Within a form, if you have another form, that is called as MDI forms. That is called as, so the one which is over the other, that is called as child form, and the base form which should be at the background is called as parent form. So how many I can insert number of forms, any number of forms, MDI forms. So all those forms become child forms. For that, I have a setting by default none of your forms will be a parent forms. By default you cannot go for MDI. By default you cannot go for MDI. You have a setting for that. Called as MDI. That is MDI container. Is it visible? Is the setting visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So these are the default settings, right? So is MDI container, that means is this form 1? Is this a property related to form 1? So is this form 1 acting as a MDI container? Container is nothing but a parent form. Is my form 1 acting as a MDI container? By default it is what? It is, by default it will be false. So only when you make this true, your MDI form can act as a parent form. Did you notice the changes? Yes. So what was
Yes,
before?
ma'am.
By default it was
White
false.
screen.
Yes, by default it was
White screen.
where, let me take this, or 1 second, not this. Let me, by default I've made it false. Let me take a label for this and name the, so this is my label. Let me name it as to create MDI child form. So this is my font, so you can know what exactly the changes are. Yes, so I've said to create a child form. So this is my basic form 1. Now I want to make this form as a container first. Only when it becomes a container, then I can insert n number of child forms onto this. So first settings related to making a form as a MDI form is nothing but you need to go to the property called as is MDI container. So is MDI container, that means is this form a MDI container? That is what it means. Is this form? So I need to select a form 1 related properties, and I need to check for a property called as is MDI container. I need to check for a property called as is MDI container. So once I need to make it as true, so once it is true, now upon this form I can insert n number of forms, whether it is during a runtime or during a design time. Whether it is during a runtime or design time, you can insert now n number of child forms. Clear? Anyway, okay. This is not really necessary now. Now I have made this form as a MDI form. I have made this form as a MDI form. Now, according to my requirement, I need to insert another form that is nothing but a child form. That should happen during the runtime. So upon which should I write a program? For which control should I write a program now?
Tab form.
I need to write it for exactly. I need to write it for form itself, because once the form is loaded, I want it to be having another form. I want it to be having another form. Fine. So yes. So this form, please make sure this form, that is, it is named as form 1. The displaying name for this form 1 is form 1 itself. So please make this. So it is under the property of text. So let me change this as parent form. Did you see the title of this form was form 1 before? I have changed it to parent form. So whenever I insert a new form, I can insert. So now I need to write a program for form itself. So upon the form is loaded, I need to insert a new form. So double click on form. Yes, once the form is loaded, what should happen? So once the form is loaded, I want it to create a new form. I want it to create a new form, and that should be within a form 1 itself. So now let me create a new form. Let me create a new form. Let us, I'll take a name as form 2, because I have already one form, that is form 1. Now I need to create a new form. I'll give a name as form 2, and this form belongs to a class called as forms. It is very similar to how we created a text boxes and labels during runtime. You remember that program? To insert text boxes and labels during runtime. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's very similar to that, because that even the text boxes and labels were the containers, even the form is nothing but a control. Correct? In a very similar way, if I want to now insert a new form, I need to go for creating a new form under a class called as form. So I'm creating new form, that is form 2. Form 2 is an object which is referring to a class called as form. So form 2, I'm creating it. Now I want to make it as a child form. I need to make it as a child form. How can I do that? That is, I need to say form 2 dot MDI parent is equal to, what is an MDI parent for this? Form 2's parent, which is supposed to be form 2's parent.
Parent form.
It is supposed to be form 1. Parent form is just a name of this form. Please do make sure this is just a title. It is a name, but the exact name for this is still form 1 itself. Is that clear? So in my programs, for coding purpose, I need to use it as form 1 itself, not parent form. Parent form is just for the displaying purpose. So form 2.mdi parent, the parent form of this is nothing but form 1. I can either write it as form 1, I can either write it as form 1, or I can write it as me. What does me stands for? What do you mean by me?
Form.
Me not close. Yeah, the parent form can be said as me form. It's a parent form. So form 2.mdi parent, the MDI parent for form 2 is nothing but the me, that is form 1, the base form. And let me change the name of this form 2 by saying text property of form 2. I'll change the text property, very similar to how I changed the form 1 as parent form. Let me take the name for this as child form. I'll take the name for this. I'll name this as child form. Fine. Now I have created the form. I've said it is supposed to be a child form. That is, it is supposed to have a parent as form 1. And I've changed the name of it. What else should I do? If you remember the text and label program, what else should I do? I need to make it to be visible, correct? So it is in this form related, it is nothing but form2 dot show that particular form, display that particular form. That's it. Is this clear? So I need to now, in my form 1, I need to now insert another form. So if I want to insert another form, it can be taken with a class called as form. I need to take it from a class called as form. For the class form, I'm creating an object called as form2. So now your form2 works as a form itself, as a new form itself. Form2 works as a new form. I want this form2 to be within a form 1. That is, I want it to be a child of a form 1. I want form2 to be a child of form 1. So that's the reason I'm saying form2 dot MDI parent. Take a parent MDI parent of form 1. The form2 should take a MDI parent of form 1. And I'll be changing the displaying name of the form2 as child form. And I'll say show that form. That is, I'll make this form2 to be visible when it's running. Clear? Shall we run the program and see whether it's working?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me run it. Yes, it is running. Yes, it is loading the program. It is debugging it. So I've created a object for a form and named it as form2. So form2 will be having all the properties and functions related to it. Yes. Is it visible? Is the output visible? Yes. I had created another form. Parent form is there at the back end. Whatever the controls I've inserted in a parent form is still there. And there is another form that has been displayed upon this form too. I'll try to move it outside the form. Can you see I'm not able to try outside the form? I'm not able to move it outside the form. Is it visible? I'm not able to move the form outside this form 1, whether it is parent form. I'm not able to move the child form outside the parent form because it is bounded to the boundary of this parent form. The child form will be bounded to the boundary of a child form. So this is how we will be creating a child form during the runtime. I can increase the size of it, but not more than parent form. You cannot increase more than parent form. Clear with it? Clear with it? So this is your program to create a child form. To create a child form, during runtime. To create a child form, as a MDI form during runtime. Any doubts in this? Any doubts in this? Clear?